I'm Robert Lefever, I'm the director of the Promis Recovery Centre. What we're hoping to do with these short clips is to help people to understand the nature of addiction and what can be done about it. Training for an addict to become responsible without an addiction. The whole basis of our work here is educational. Promis is not a hospital, we're a university. We teach people, we don't drug them. We teach people how to get well and stay well. And that's the crucial issue. All our counselling staff are either former patients of Promis or former patients of somewhere else. It takes one to catch one. So we employ addicts. I heard yesterday a story of a chap who's in the retail business who discovered, as all retailers do, that there's a certain level of pilferage that goes on, or pilfering. You'd lose inevitably about 10% of your stock would be stolen. And what this chap decided to do was only employ on his staff recovering addicts. So he would go to friends and say, do you know anybody in the rooms who might need a job? And so he would include those people on his staff. And his loss from pilfering is less than 1%. He's one of the most successful retailers ever because he employs addicts. Well, so do we. And it works. So the way that we educate our patients here is to show them what they can become, partly by example. So partly our staff are giving an example of what they can, what other people can have, partly by inspiration. A part of counselling is inspiration. So that people say, yeah, I want what he's got, I want what she's got. You've got to have people with that sense of excitement. This chap, I haven't had a drink in 20 years. Well, why not? What on earth is the point of living like that? You've got to have the buzz, you've got to have the excitement, you've got to have something that somebody else would want to have. And so the counselling staff very much have to have a sense of inspiration. And the third part is the education. They have to know the stuff, they have to know the material. So what we're trying to do here is to help people to get well, partly by seeing the example, partly by listening and learning the processes, and partly by inspiration. Those three things from the counselling staff are essentially what Promis is about. We employ a psychiatrist, but her function here as our consultant psychiatrist is not to help us with addicts. We know how to help addicts. It's to see if there's something else going on at the same time. Because just because you're an addict doesn't mean to say you can't get an appendicitis or diabetes. And equally it doesn't mean to say you can't get some mental problems that are really nothing to do with addiction. They're due to, other aspects. The essential point, as far as Promis is concerned, is that we do not see addiction as a mental illness. It's a feeling illness. There is nothing wrong with my intellect. I have always been able to think clearly. I was born that way. And I still do. And in my using days, I could still think perfectly clearly. I could think in circles. I could think backwards. I could persuade Meg that something was true and then prove the opposite. I could change sides in the middle of an argument and she wouldn't even notice. We are highly manipulative. We know exactly how to argue two different points at the same time. There's no problem with that as far as any addict is concerned. We don't have a mental illness. Our mental side is very good. We have an emotional illness. And that's very different. Meg would say, but why do you feel like that? I say, I don't know. I just don't know. I've got a lovely wife, lovely home, lovely children, lovely job. And still I was standing on the edge of the platform at South Kensington Tube train station, thinking that somebody might just accidentally push me off. I was suicidally depressed. All our patients are depressed. This is what Promis treats. We treat depression. We don't treat alcoholism, drug addiction, eating disorders, whatever. Those are the things that people do to try to make themselves feel better. What we treat here is the underlying depression. And unless we treat that, They'll simply go in and out and in and out and in and out to all these other ways of trying to make themselves feel better. And so we try to take all that away and help them to treat it at source. Doing that. And it works. It is magical. Shirley reached out to help me. She said, "Hi, Robert." She got no arm below the elbow. Well, being English, I have a proper sense of etiquette. I didn't know what to do. Should I shake the stump or offer the other hand or whatever? Anyway, we got past that hurdle. She said, "You want to come to a meeting?" And I said, "Huh?" And she said, "Well, I'm going to Overeaters Anonymous. Would you like to come along?" I wasn't doing anything. I said, "Yeah, that'd be interesting." And there they were, all these young girls praying for their daily abstinence and so on. And there was bats. The next day, in the Radisson Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, as I was getting through my third plate of corned beef hash, have you seen the sizes of portions in America of corned beef hash? They're mountains, and I was getting through my third plate. And I thought, I wonder if Shirley saw something. That was how I got into the fellowships. And I've been going ever since. I came back to the UK and I discovered that there was a meeting in Pembroke Road on a Tuesday evening. So I went there, and there were two young girls and me. And they said, "Well, let's have a group conscience." A what? Well, it's a sort of business meeting. I said, "Okay," because we need someone to be secretary. I said, "Oh, well," I thought that meant take the minutes. So I said, "Well, yeah, I can do that." And they said, "Fine." And so I was appointed secretary at my first meeting. I never saw them again. They never came back. And so the next meeting, I read the preamble, I read it out loud, I invited myself to give the chair, I gave the chair, I thanked myself, I responded, I read the closure, I put £1 in the pot, gave myself a hug and went home. And I have stayed clean ever since then. If nobody else turns up, that's okay. I was there to reach out to help the newcomers. I was doing this. Even if B wasn't there, I was prepared to do it. And that is what makes the difference. It's the willingness to reach out, to take our minds off our selfish selves and generously reach out to help somebody else. That is what makes the difference. That's what gets us better. Now, in treatment we have to charge, but this is not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is the university, and we charge university fees. That is done in the fellowships. I don't get better here. I get better there, in the rooms. That's what I have to do for myself, and all our staff have to do exactly that. And if they relax, they're fired. I'm absolutely ruthless on that. The staff have to go to meetings, exactly as I do, exactly as our patients do. Because otherwise, look at that, I've decided I'm not short-sighted anymore. It's madness. I have got to come to terms with the way I am. I have to wear my specs. I have to go meetings. I have to live a life of honesty, open-mindedness and willingness. Thank you.